and welcome to a very special Breaking Barriers episode that will be celebrating Ramadan. It is the holy month of Ramadan, a very important month in the Islamic calendar, and Muslims all over the world are celebrating, and we're doing these sessions to celebrate the month and to learn a little bit more. My name is PGMOL. I'm a reporter at Sky Sports News, so you may have seen my face on TV. I'm a proud Muslim woman that works in the footballing industry that has a huge passion for diversity, and I'm so honored to lead this session with some amazing guests, and I can't wait to get started. Right, let's get them on screen with me. First up is a man who's been working in football for a very long time, who's got a partnership with the PGMOL through his company Nujum Sports, which educates the league about Muslims and about the month of Ramadan. It is Ebs Rahman. And next up, I'd like to welcome a former official who ran the line in the Premier League and in games all across Europe. And if you don't know the name Mo Matadar, then you should know him. He's a pioneering Muslim official who we are delighted to have with us today. So I wanted to ask you guys both and welcome you to this incredible show that we have. So thank you for giving up your time and joining us today. Let's starting with you, Ebs. You're working around the clock to support Muslim athletes with the incredible work that you do with Nujum Sports. You've given them Ramadan packs to get them started throughout the month of Ramadan, which I'm sure they hugely appreciate. How can we, I guess, the sporting community better support Muslims, and what are you doing through your work with Nujum to make this happen?
Cool, thank you. I guess I'll start by talking a bit about who we are as an organization. So we started as a not-for-profit in 2020 August. We're currently the advisors to the ECB, the PGMOL, and the RFL on Muslim inclusion. We have 8 ambassadors in sport: Moin Ali, Adil Rashid, Zaki Mahmood in cricket, Hamza Chowdhury, Adi Yusuf Tawfiq in football, Huzaifa Iqbal in boxing, and Khadija Mela, who you might know, Fadumo. She's the first hijabi jockey in British horse racing. We started as an organization which is predominantly set up to support Muslim athletes. They are our core, I guess, beneficiaries. One of our main pieces of work that we do is our faith advice and direction, which is ongoing on a daily basis. WhatsApp conversations, mainly phone calls. We might do 4 or 5 WhatsApp conversations or phone calls a day. We have faith advisors who are on hand to ask or answer any questions for the players. In terms of our services, the 2 main services that we're currently providing, probably the 3 main services, is the educational sessions for clubs and organizations around supporting their Muslim athletes throughout the year. Our Muslim Athlete Charter, which has been signed by PGMOL and over 71 different clubs from 5 different sports. And also our athlete events. We have our Athlete Iftar event this Sunday, where we'll have about 80 athletes at Watford Stadium. And I think generally, just the generic faith advice that we give to players as well. We're also currently running 2 Friday prayers every week at QPR and Man City, where our faith advisors go into these 2 training grounds and deliver Friday prayers, Jummah, for the players, academy players, first team players and staff. QPR has been ongoing since September 2022, and Man City has been roughly around 5 weeks now. So that's in essence what we do as an organization.
No, it sounds absolutely amazing, Ebs. And I guess for people that are watching the show or this session today that don't know about Ramadan, can you explain a little bit about what Ramadan is and why it's so significant to so many Muslims across the world?
Yeah, sure. I think obviously, so Ramadan is the 9th month of the Hijri calendar, right? It's literally the name of a month. We believe that it's the most blessed month out of the Islamic months that we have. Our rewards are multiplied. It's a time of the year where it's very hard to explain the feeling you get as a community when you break fast together. You start your fast at the crack of dawn, and you break it at sunset. No food or water allowed. You also we're expected to be of good character, and we're expected to be very generous throughout the month. In fact, you'll notice that last year, I think there was a report done by one of the organizations where it was estimated £300 million was donated throughout that month throughout the Ramadan to causes in the UK and abroad by Muslims just alone in the month of Ramadan. One of the main reasons for that is that we believe, again, our rewards are multiplied. So if we donate, we believe that we're getting generously rewarded by Allah. And also one of our obligations of our zakat, which is giving 2.5% of our savings away in charity every year. A lot of Muslims around the UK donate their zakat in Ramadan basically as well. It's a special time of the year, as you'll know, Mo and Fatima, in terms of how special it is. It's very difficult to describe the feeling it is, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think you summarized the details of it very well. And especially with a league that continues to grow with the Muslim community, it's great to have Najum playing its huge part. Mo, for those, I guess, who don't know you, Mo Matara, you are a former official who ran lines in the Premier League, all across the league, all across Europe, a pioneer and in officiating, a pioneer for the Muslim community who probably haven't heard about Muslim officiators in the sport. So we're delighted, obviously, to have you with us today. But for you, what is it, I guess, how do you feel hearing Ebbs and hearing him talk about Najum sport and knowing that something like this exists today helping Muslim athletes? And is it, I guess, something that you really wished for when you were officiating?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Fatima. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Alayk salam.
Good. Ramadan Mubarak to you and Ebbs to you as well. Hope everything is going well in this blessed month of Ramadan. In answer to your question, Fatima, it's great that Najum and the PGMOL have taken it to their hearts to provide the help, support, guidance that Muslim officials, Muslim athletes need as a multicultural organization. The number of players, the number of officials that there are who would be observing Ramadan, it's the level of support that's available is significantly higher than the level of support that was there when I was an active match official. I think when I was active, I essentially had to do everything myself, and take care of my own needs and requirements of fasting, and just quietly in the background just got on with it really. But now it's more at the forefront. It's now we're shining a light onto the topic, and it's great that education is happening, that support is there, and the guidance is there from the gym. So it's great.
Mo, can you give us an example, I guess, of what it was like for you as an official, a Muslim official? There weren't many back in sport. There probably aren't many in officiating right now. But for you, and a personal experience, what was it like? I guess fasting, was it as accommodating as it is today in terms of obviously the Premier League is making a conscious effort to stop play at natural or give it its natural pause so that players can break their fast? But I'm assuming stuff like that wasn't happening before.
No, it wasn't happening before, and it's great how things have moved on, and we've progressively got better and better at it. Just to give you an example, that when I was active and if I was fasting and it was an evening game, I would have a little sweet in my pocket or something in my pocket that when I knew it was iftar time at some point throughout the game, that I'd literally just take a moment just to stick a sweet in my mouth, and that would be my iftar, and that would be it. And I'd have a proper meal after the game had finished, or once I'd got home or back to the hotel. Thankfully, that's not needed anymore. Thankfully, as you say, the natural stoppage in the game allows players and match officials to properly do their iftar that they would need to do. So that just gives you one example of how things have moved on.
Yeah, of course. Ebbs, I wanted to talk to you, of course, about education, because a huge part of what you're doing is not just educating Muslim players, but educating the league as a collective, or professional football as a collective, about what they can do to support Muslim players. What is the work you've been doing with the PGMOL on this and the officials to make it happen?
Yeah, I think I think we've had a relationship with PGMOL probably for coming up to it, so to speak, over a year now. Last year, we delivered a session to the Premier League referees on Ramadan, and just educating them. Obviously, I think they were given the guidance to allow a natural break in play for players to break their fast. to give them the understanding why they're doing it. That was quite awesome for us, knowing we've had a small part to play in something that will affect the lives of millions of people, not just the players, but the people that are watching, including the Muslim fans. Because I don't know about you, Mo and Fadumo, but when I was growing up, things like this wasn't. It's not something that you can dream of, right?
Yeah.
So that was quite huge for us, I think. And then we were appointed. The PGMOL signed the Muslim Athlete Charter and appointed us as their Muslim inclusion advisors. And since then, we've delivered multiple sessions to the referees, and we've actually got a session tonight. We had a session on Monday with the referees, about 50 referees, where we again educated them, not just Premier League. I think the Championship, League One, League Two referees, assistant referees as well, on Ramadan and what it is, what it means for players, and how they can support players, and again create a safe space for them to ask any questions that they might not feel comfortable asking elsewhere. So which is quite important for us, and that's what we do, right? Is create a safe space for people of faith, no faith, to ask questions, to learn about Islam, and also be their true, authentic self, and that's quite important for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And how have those sessions been received that you've been doing?
You're very well received. We've had positive responses from all the referees. We had a referee actually who, after the call finished, they're actually researching where sunset is in their city, so which was quite amazing to see, and it builds that community spirit, and that's exactly what Ramadan's about, the community spirit, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, right? And maybe Mo and Fadumo, you can also probably talk about this as well, but your parents, when you cook the food to break your fast, you're always giving it to your neighbors, which is again quite important as well, I think, from our side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you mentioned that, we've got a tradition that we've had for years. And I remember as a kid just taking food over to our neighbours. And even now, like at 28, I still show up to my neighbours with plates of food. And we've started to receive ours. So it's definitely a community feel. Mo, I wanted to ask you, as someone that's experienced the heights of football, what's been a personal highlight for you? Is there a moment you can take us back to that you've really enjoyed officiating or being part of?
Yeah, sure. There's lots of highlights, really, as you can imagine, operating at that level of the game, and quite often the big highlights are usually the first games that you'd really do. So the first Premier League game, or the first professional game, first game in the Champions League, or the first game in Europe, or a full international. So my very first Premier League game was at Everton, and that was a great experience. Everton versus Newcastle. So that was a highlight. Another important highlight for me is operating as an assistant abroad. So being to countries that I would never ever have gone to, for a holiday or as a tourist. So going to Russia, or to Slovenia, or to obscure parts of Europe, really, that you'd never ever go to as a tourist or on holiday. But football can take you to these places, and it was great traveling Europe and seeing new places, and broadening my horizons, really, in terms of Europe as a bigger place than just where I live. So that was really important for me. Also operating with some of the best referees in history, really. The likes of Howard Webb, who is now obviously the chief refereeing officer of the PGMOL. He worked with Howard, and that was a privilege for me, and many other big name referees, fantastic international referees that I worked with, which was a great learning experience for me, and I've made some really good friends through that process. So that's a highlight. Also operating at some of the biggest grounds in the country, doing games at Wembley, at Tottenham, at Arsenal, at Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, all these big grounds where most people would only ever go as a spectator, and I had one of the best seats in the house, pitch side. So that was always a big deal for me, really. So lots of highlights, and lots of fond memories.
I love that. I love the description of having the best seat in the house. That's probably the best way to describe officiating or being a linesman or a lineswoman. How important is it to get people from the Muslim community or from ethnic diverse communities to consider officiating as a path into football? Because many people probably think playing football is the only option.
Yes, absolutely. In that respect, as many officials as we can recruit is really, really good. People need to realise, the Muslim community need to realise that there's a genuine career to be made. If you start young enough, if you have the ability, that there's a genuine career to be carved out in professional football, if not through playing, then definitely through officiating, and that the support and guidance of the organisations is definitely there, and they want to, support Muslim officials, as we see with all the great work that they do in terms of inclusion and diversity, that nobody will be excluded in any way, shape or form, and that, like I say, a genuine career in professional football can be had if people want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ebs, I wanted to ask you, does the work with Najm help to encourage communities to have confidence in the PGMOL and refereeing?
Yeah, I would like to think so. I think off camera we're talking about again authenticity, right, and just bringing something different to the game. And I think the refereeing hasn't ever had anything like this before. And again, one thing also to note as well, I think the PGMOL are sort of trendsetters. The stoppage of the play has encouraged referees now. And obviously, we've started working in Holland now and with the KNVB, and this year they've started to stop games now to allow Muslim players to break their fast. So PGMOL has started something, and it's a trendsetter, and that's important to be recognised as well. And I think it's one from our side as well as one more gratitude as well. I think it's important to show gratitude, not just to Allah first and foremost, but also to our partners like the PGMOL, who are doing a great job, right? I think referees get a tough time on the pitch. And again, we were talking about it's again off camera, is that the referee, the person involved officiating is refereeing the game from their point of view. So, and to be to play a small part over, I think Friday is the first game, I think, in the Championship when Burnley play Sunderland. You're gonna see a stoppage in the play for their players. So this would be a first, and again, to play a small part in that is quite historic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a historic moment. As an example, do you think football is becoming more inclusive for communities?
I think we have a long way to go. For sure, we have a long way to go. We have to celebrate the small victories and the baby steps. And at Najm, we do things differently, and we celebrate the small wins. And it's important to celebrate those small wins, because in life you need these little milestones to get you onto the next milestone. And if you don't do that, and you're constantly just thinking negatively, then you won't go forward. We are going. Like I said, as a country, we've made so much huge progress in sport. To allow players to break fast, the Ramadan packs that you've seen, it's become part of the footballing calendar. I mean, thinking back 3 years ago when we started it was just an idea, and to see it being part of the footballing calendar now is huge. I think Faduma, you were at the launch of our packs, as were the PGMOL. It's a bit weird, right? I don't know what you think, but
yeah, no, but it's great though, because you can just see the excitement. Like, I think especially this Ramadan, I've seen so many clubs promote the fact that they've been given these packs.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sense of pride, like, yes, we're doing this for our Muslim athletes, and we want to be the trendsetters, like you said earlier on. And I think it's a nice trend to be part of.
A celebration, right? And it's celebration, that's important as well, and a celebration of the players, their faith, and recognition, and for the players themselves to feel part of the Muslim community. That's important. I think obviously more when Abbas will be getting their Ramadan packs as well soon. So
that was my next question, Mose.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Whether Eb has delivered his Ramadan pack to you by now. He should have, in that case.
Saturday.
I must say, I actually have received my Ramadan pack.
Oh, you received it? Sorry.
Yes, I received it yesterday. Our friend Aaron and I met up yesterday, and he gave me a very generous pack. So Jazakallah for that very, very nice pack. Thank you.
Oh, alhamdulillah, that's good. I guess that is just an example of how things have changed. But Mo, did you ever see a time where you'd be expecting that to be a norm, receiving packs like that or recording a session like this with PGMOL?
No, at no stage did I ever think that would move on leaps and bounds like we have done. When I was active, it was like I say, you were left to your own devices pretty much, and you did what you felt was necessary for yourself. And today just shows how far we've come in terms of looking after people's welfare and looking after people's needs as Muslim athletes. Player care is such a big thing at the moment for clubs. You'll only get the best out of your players if they feel cared for and their welfare is looked after. Clubs look after players' welfare in terms of their medical needs, their coaching needs, their nutritional needs. Why not their spiritual needs? And we know that people who feel looked after and feel cared for will ultimately be more productive in the jobs that they do. So footballers will hopefully play better because they feel that big arm around their shoulder that somebody's looking after them. And match officials are exactly the same, that they feel part of a much bigger organisation that has their welfare needs at the heart of their performances. So no, I never thought we'd get to this stage, and whilst there's still lots of work to be done and we're heading in the right direction, we've made great leaps to get to this stage.
Absolutely. And I guess it strikes me that when positive change happens at the top, we talk about it being in the Premier League, we talk about that natural pause, I guess, is a catalyst for change, and naturally it has an impact on the bigger community and the greater community, which is grassroots. So how much or how important do you think this is for the wider community in football, that grassroots community, for us to highlight Ramadan, to work with the PGMOL on breaking barriers, to really signify that, there's lots that can be done for Muslim athletes in Ramadan? And that's for both of you, really. So whoever wants to jump out first.
Yeah, if I'll take that. So I think the grassroots community already do a great deal of great work already. But let's get that message filtered down. Let's get the professional football message filtered down about stoppages in the game, looking after players, and making sure that their needs are respected. And like Ebbs has said, Friday will be the first one this season where there'll be a stoppage in the game, and there'll be millions of people watching the game, and they'll see this natural stoppage, for iftar time, and many people will not really understand what's going on. And hopefully, the commentators or somebody on the telly can explain what's going on and the rationale behind it and the benefits behind it, and that level of education can happen, which can then filter through to people at grassroots level. And the more we see that as the rest of the month of Ramadan continues for the next 3 weeks or so, again, it becomes more of the norm. So next year it'll become the norm. It won't be something a new thing anymore. And as the years go by, people will just accept it as part of the footballing calendar, really.
Absolutely. And Ebbs, I guess it's filtered down and it becomes the norm across grassroots sport as well.
Yeah, I think obviously we delivered 2 sessions with Kick It Out for grassroots football in Ramadan last month, February and early March. So again, that the messaging is getting disseminated now, slowly but surely. And obviously, just to touch on the game tomorrow, we spent 2 days last week at Burnley with the whole squad from the first team down to the academy, educating their staff on Ramadan. So watching the game tomorrow is going to take a different meaning for us, because we know that the club is very well versed now on supporting their Muslim players. They have 3 players in their first team who probably will be in their squad and fasting, and so it'd be a great take on different meaning for us as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And obviously Ramadan guidance was communicated to all officials last week by the FA. So although the game starts this week, all officials will know exactly what to do. Right. Thank you both so much so far, but I wanted to move on very quickly. And now I want to give you a perspective of a current Muslim official in the game. So the PGMOL EDI manager, Aaron Williams, caught up with the assistant referee, Abbas Khan.
Thanks for doing more. Yeah, it's going to be great to speak to National Group Assistant Referee Abbas Khan, who's also a practicing Muslim who is observing the month of Ramadan while officiating. Ramadan Mubarak, Abbas.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
So, Abbas, tell us, as a current match official, tell us about your relationship with your religion and the importance of Ramadan to you.
My relationship with my religion is very important because obviously that's how we believe that we're going to go into paradise and an afterlife and whatnot. And Ramadan is one of the commands that God has given during Ramadan to fast. So it's a very much more of a spiritual journey. And that's what gets us through day-to-day life.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Abbas. And, you know, going to come back to you, as breaking barriers is about spotlighting and learning about match officials from different backgrounds. So tell us about, how did you get into officiating and what was your journey to where you are now?
I got into refereeing through college. It was called a Step Into Sport program. Got to thank my college teacher because I never thought of going into refereeing, and he just put me on a volunteering course, and once I did that, never looked back. And so it was a bit of a lucky way to come into refereeing.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how we often fall into refereeing when we talk to our colleagues. The experiences are shared that we pick it up, and it's by chance. And once you get bitten by that refereeing bug, it's very difficult to lose it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just I never for a second thought going into refereeing, because you always, when you're young, you think, oh, we'll play football, you watch football, probably go into coaching, but never refereeing. And bizarre, just loved it as soon as I did it. You could stay in the game, and just never look back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're on the assistant referee development group, which is part of the elite referee development program that was launched earlier this season. This group is for those with high potential, and obviously we're looking to the future for those officials. How are you finding it, Abbas?
This is a great program. You have some experienced coaches that have been to the top and just give valuable experience, and you just keep learning. I'm one of those individuals, you just keep learning off everyone, and especially these guys that we have, it's just unbelievable. And it just makes more tweaks to your game, and it just adds everything. Like decision making becomes better, even mental side of the game. How do you park decisions? Because obviously we all make big decisions wrong. How we move on from it during the game, even after game, and then we can come back and learn and develop, learn and grow from each game.
Yeah, and with that, then it's amazing insight there into your experience in the ARDG group. How far do you feel you can go in the game? Should we expect to see you in the Premier League or potentially on European games in future?
Hopefully one day. Who knows?
Yeah,
stay in the moment, wherever it takes you. We never know if we have tomorrow, so just live each day as it comes and just give 100% on each day. That's all I can do, and the rest, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, very humble you are, Abbas. I must admit, we spoke to Mo Matadar earlier, who was the first Muslim match official to be appointed onto the Premier League as an assistant referee, and going wider into Europe as a FIFA assistant referee. And from my point of view, coming through, being aware of somebody like Mo is hugely important to me, to be able to see someone who I can reflect upon and say, I can be that person. Did you have any role models? Were you aware of people like Mo Matadar when you were coming through?
Yeah, so when I was coming through, I saw him. But I saw him at the very top of the game. Didn't speak to him much back then. Like obviously, I speak to him a lot more now and try and get experience from him, how to adapt things, certain things. Obviously, like in our religion, we have to pray and stuff like that, and how he did it. So it was good it's good learning from him how to do stuff like that. But growing up, there's not many Muslims around at my level that I'm aware of. So it was just a process where you just learn and you just adapt.
Yeah, that's amazing how you mentioned about the sort of mentoring and sort of counselling that you're receiving from Mo now and everything. It's a huge important piece to officiating, is being able to learn from your peers and those who have been there and done that before you, and who you can aspire to be, hopefully, in the future. And I guess in that sense, Abbas, do you feel your religion helps you as an official? And if so, how?
So my religion teaches me, like, give 100% and you work hard, and we can't control outcome, whether it be in life or on the football field. Is what will happen, and it's how we react. And if you react in a positive way, then it will lead you to good things. Trust in God, and whatever will happen. If you're not supposed to, for example, if I'm not supposed to reach the Premier League, I still say thanks to God for where I've got, because I'm in a privileged position where a lot of people would love to be in my position, and again, I'd be grateful.
Amazing. And Abbas, how much confidence do you get from seeing partnerships with that PGMOL have launched with groups like Nudgem Sports?
It's amazing. We're just heightening awareness, getting the information out there, and hopefully more people will become involved, and more people from the community, from my community. It would make me really proud if more Muslim members, male and female, came into the game. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And obviously, ourselves at PGMOL and the FA are on a journey to hopefully improve the levels of diversity and increase the numbers of people from historically underrepresented communities within football. And I find myself thinking exactly like you in terms of the more people we can get from backgrounds that maybe aren't always represented in refereeing at the moment, the greater we'll be as a society and community of referees. And I guess in that sense, Abbas, do you ever find yourself sharing personal stories and speaking with fellow officials about Ramadan? And how important? Sorry, go on.
No, go Karen. Finish the question.
And just generally, how important is it that current match officials are aware of the incredible diversity of the game and the different needs of each person involved? You know, players, match officials, and everyone.
I'll be honest. Like, recently, since yourself it's come in, it's increased, and I'm being asked more what needs I can be catered for, which is great. And like, even during match days yesterday, I'm being offered a room to go pray one of my 5 daily prayers. So I prayed 3 of my prayers yesterday at the game. So thanks to yourself, like that, raising the awareness within the organization, we're getting more feedback to the clubs, whatnot, how they can be supportive towards us. And I just see it going better. Like, it's amazing at the minute.
It was really interesting listening to Abbas and Aaron there. I guess for you both, it feels like we're in a positive place when it comes to Ramadan at the moment in football. But what more can be done to make it more inclusive for Muslims? And I'll start with you, Ebbs, on that one.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question.
It's $1 million question, Ebbs. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think obviously as we evolve as a community, like I said, the charter, the educational sessions, we actually had no intention to deliver education sessions to clubs or be advisors to the ECB, the PGMOL or the RFO. Our main thing was to support Muslim athletes. But as we've gone on this journey, we've learned that, okay, the education piece is needed, so we've taken that on. And I'm sure as the years go by, a lot of things will sort of fall into place for us and the support that is needed. I think, for example, one of the things that we're working on now is guidance and support for the academy scholars who are living in digs around, living with host families who have halal food available, which is sometimes very difficult, or having a space where there's no alcohol in the house. So these sort of things. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting time. So yeah, with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that does answer it. Don't worry. That does definitely answer it, Ebs. Mo, specifically in refereeing and in officiating, what more can be done or what can be looked into to make sure this exists beyond Ramadan for Muslims?
Sure. So as match officials, there may well be match officials out there who may want to take a little bit of a break from officiating during the month of Ramadan, and that's their right and their wish to do so. And I think organisations should be able to allow match officials to take a little bit of a break, maybe a few weeks away from the game, to observe Ramadan properly and observe the Ramadan to the way that they want to do it, without having to juggle officiating as well. Also, if we can, if clubs can make provisions during Ramadan for prayer, somebody might just need 5-10 minutes out, maybe at half time or before the game or after the game, just a little room, just some provision that match officials can have, just to catch up on any prayers that they are likely to miss or may have missed. That's again another step in the right direction.
And I guess for you, Mo, quickly, there is a huge underrepresentation across officiating as a collective, not just with the Muslim community, but in terms of race and other factors. What can be done to make sure that we retain and support many officials and hopefully encourage them to really make it to the top?
Yeah, sure. So there's various things really. Role models, that's really, really important to have role models, and obviously Abbas being the only active Muslim match official is a clear role model. So more role models is important, and again, getting the message out that refereeing, assistant refereeing is a career, can be a career, and really getting out into the communities and giving them the start that they may need to pick up the whistle. Once they have, then giving them the support and the direction that they need to be able to get better, improve, give them the training, get them promoted if they're good enough, and slowly getting them up into the higher echelons of the game. So it does start with a big recruitment drive, and then the support mechanisms that need to get people up to where they are needed. But like I say, also role models is really, really important as well.
Absolutely. And just lastly, I just wanted to ask you both, thank you obviously for joining us, this wonderful call, but what's the one takeaway that you both have in mind that you hope people can take away from this session, starting with you, Ebs?
Cool. You'll notice I kept my jokes to a limited. Sorry.
I know. I'm very proud of you for that today. Well done.
Takeaway, like, be an ally, right? It's so important. A lot of the work that we do is done with the support of non-Muslim allies, like the PGMOL, ECBs, the clubs, the multiple clubs. And without your support, we can't do our work. So, and be an ally, that's important, right? And as a young person, I'm not young now, but growing up in East London, it was very difficult growing up being a Muslim, right? And it was very difficult to be yourself. But one thing my experience taught me was to be myself, and don't change for anybody. And I think it's been okay for me so far. And I think the key takeaway, just be an ally, social support wherever you can to anybody, not just people of Muslim faith, people of different faiths, no faiths, genders. Just be supportive of everyone, and you can see that will be fine.
I love that. That's a great takeaway to have. And for you, Mo, what's the one takeaway you hope people will take from this session?
For me, I think it's the realization that whilst Ramadan is a big deal for a Muslim person, we don't just think that everything needs to be done in 1 month. The whole year is important as well, and that we get into good habits with supporting Muslim athletes and Muslim players and Muslim match officials throughout the year, and not just for that 1 month. I think that would be my key takeaway.
Lovely. Thank you both so much. I know we can honestly keep talking about this forever because it's something we're all passionate about, and it's been a really insightful discussion, but sadly that's all we got time for. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to you, Mo, Ebbs, and obviously Abbas for their excellent contribution today. It's been an amazing session and I've learned loads. I'm hoping everyone that's watched this call has learned a huge amount. The next Breaking Barrier sessions will be out super soon, so look out for those details. And please keep an eye on all PGMOL socials, media channels to keep up to speed on all things that are happening. Thanks again for tuning in, and let's keep working together to help diversify our industry. And yeah, if you're watching this, Ramadan Mubarak. Still got a couple of more days to go, but it'll be a blessed month. And yeah, hoping everyone has a wonderful Ramadan. And thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.